Welcome one and all to Let's Talk, the series where we talk about the good, the bad, and the utterly ugly about video games. Obviously, it does have my opinion, and we share your opinions. So let's get into it. In today's show, we talk about Vanguard. Yep, we all know. Okay. Let's just get it out there right now. Vanguard is not bad. Right. Yeah, my personal preference, it's not a bad game. We are just bored. And here is why. Right, let's start with the positives of the game, right? Let's say the good, right? So, the pacing. It was a good, fresh, lovely new mechanic added to the game. Being able to choose a slow-paced, small team, low action-based map or low action-based team or events to 8v8 small maps, absolute chaotic bloodbath, gave the player some kind of matchmaking control. Therefore, it gives the player the choice on how they want to play. If you're a sniper and you like to take the game slow, or a runner and gunner and you just want to get in there and kill as many people as possible, it gave you that choice, that ability. Obviously, having 4-on-4 or 6v6 or 8v8 just gives you the freedom to choose what kind of pacing you want. So that's a really, really good point about the game. It gave us a new mechanic which allowed us a bit of matchmaking control. It suited players' style. Myself, I love to go in there, get my MG46 or my MP5 and just go in there 8v8, all guns blazing. I love the chaos. I'm in there for the small maps, I'm in there for the tight spaces. I love it. Whereas some players, like my best mate, he loves to slow it down a bit. He loves the assault rifles, he loves the distance, he loves a sniper, where I'm completely different. He would prefer the smaller, lower paced game modes, whereas I obviously prefer the chaotic, mental, just constant action, small based maps games. Now this kind of neatly leads me on to my next good point about Vanguard, which is always going to be gun selection. Everybody loves a good gun selection, right? Now, when it first came out, the gun selection was immense. Just like classic COD, level up, get you certain guns, fall in love with that one gun at the start, use it until you found a new gun in your later levels, and then progress through the game like that. That's just brilliant. It works. It's a mechanic, it's a style that's been worked on for years in COD, and it will never be a bad point. It will always be a good point. There is obviously later issues with gun selections, but for now, what I will say is, when the games first come out, gun selection is always such a massively good point, because you will always find a gun that you love from the start, hands down, easy money. As I mentioned, obviously, during the pacing segment, my favourite gun is the MG46. I love this gun. It's amazing. You can put a scope on it, well, a thermal scope on it. You can give me an extended mag of like 250 rounds, and I will sit there and just start mowing people down. On the small maps especially, I absolutely love this gun. I cannot get enough of it. I maxed it out. tried to gold it as many times as I possibly can. Obviously life gets in the way, but it is my go-to gun. I love the thing, but this is where the issues align with the positives. Now, my favourite gun back in day, when it was Modern Warfare Reboot, was the Bruin. I loved the Bruin. It's the same kind of gun. Stupid amount of firepower, stupidly fast in fire rate, and just dead on the money, dead accurate, until they mess with you, which we will get onto later on when we get to the bad points. But give me the MG46 any day of the week. Nice tight map, thermal scope, extended clip, it's over. I'm mowing people down for days. Now, moving on from the guns and the pacing and onto the actual maps and game modes they're used in. Right, now we all know COD will have maps that nobody likes. It just happens. They create some stinkers. We all know that. But there are some bangers in every COD, no matter what COD it is, unless if it's World War II. That game sucked. But in Vanguard, I will say, I'll hold my hands up and say, I like the maps. I still think there are some still good maps in Vanguard. Take Das House, or however you pronounce it. Right, this map is actually amazing. I love the fact that it's got the main range down the middle where I sit with my MG46 with a scope down the line, just spraying people left, right and centre. And if I get bored of that, I have either side to my right and left down the channels to actually be able to go down there and fire people down there. It's got your close combat, it's got your long range, it's got everything you need of a tight, small map, and it is absolute chaos sometimes, which again, for me, I thrive and love. But some people don't. So therefore, there are some maps that absolutely bang on Vanguard, which is an obvious point. People will say that. The obviously contrary is there are some absolute stingers. There's some maps that bang, some maps that stink, and that just happens every COD, no matter what COD it is. So you can always rely on some good maps when it comes to building a COD, and it does actually correlate with the game modes. The game modes are still the simple, fan-loved game modes with I'd say a sprinkle. Let's just throw it out there, a sprinkle of random game modes on top. They're all right. Like there's I can't remember quite the names of them. But there is that one where you stand in the zone and the zone moves around the entire map. That one is actually one of a little fan favourite of mine. I think it's actually quite good. You're not like, it's hard point but moving without it just being in one static place and moves across to another static place, and then another static, it just continuously moves, which keeps the game flow quite well. I felt when I was playing that game mode, the flow of the game was really good, and every match I played was actually quite tight because you can't just camp in the corner and spray and make sure nobody can come in and stuff like that. You've got to be on the move, you've got to support your team. I think that's actually quite an inventive and a more developing way of moving headquarters forward. But obviously not everyone loves that game mode because it is a different game mode from all the ones that everybody loves. Even though I'm one of the fans that actually do rate that map and does quite enjoy it. But yeah, I think when it comes to it, it is that they're just consistent with the maps and the map choices and the game modes. They can't really be beat down on it, and you can't really beat any COD developer down on it, which is quite good in the realms of consistency. But, and it is a big but, I'm just fearful that they do overdo it sometimes. We'll get onto that in a minute. But unfortunately, that is all the good points we've got to talk about. And that is all. We've flown through them quite quick, which is fine. because there isn't that many good points. But like I said, it's not bad. We're just bored and we're getting through it now. So let's now move on to the bad. And now, the bad. Right, now to completely sound like an absolute hypocrite here, we're going to go back to what I just said about guns. Right, now hear me out. The guns, as I said, to start with, are really, really good. The selection, the way they're balanced, everything is really good. Then patch 1 happens, as everybody knows, it always happens. Sorts out some of the guns, breaks others. That's where we stop it. That has to be where we stop it with COD games, because then we get to the overbalancing. You get patch 1, patch 2, patch 3, patch 4, and they just start ruining fan favourite games. Let's take it back to Modern Warfare, the reboot, right? You had a few good guns. You had the starting gun in the Kilo, amazing gun. Killer assault rifle, beautiful gun. Then they introduced the Bruin. As I said before, the Bruin was my favourite gun. My favourite gun. Warzone, Modern Warfare, I loved that gun. Then they went down the route of balancing. Balancing ruined everything. Absolutely everything. My Bruin, that was a beam. You could shoot anyone from anywhere and just beam their head off. Same with the Kilo. They overbalance the game. They compensate for one gun, then break another gun. It happened with this game. The MG42 was such a good, powerful gun at the start of the game. It's no longer viable as a strong gun, as a player's pick choice gun, and that's what kills me. Now, people may disagree with me. People may say, you know what, the MG42 is still a banging gun. People might say that from the start that the MG42 was absolute trash. All I know is, when I was playing the game, the MG42 was my go-to gun, and I could not, for the life of me, find another gun that worked. And that is the developer's fault. COD's fault. They overbalanced everything. It went tits up. That's the story of it. And that's the thing that we hate about newer CODs nowadays anyway. We scream that one gun is broken, they go and fix it. We scream that the next gun is broken, they go and fix it, but they overbalance everything else. And yes, I've said overbalance about 40 times. But it is the fact, and it is what is stated. That's what they do. But yeah, they ruin the gun, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And they ruin most guns. So that's my piece on the bad side of the guns, which, to be honest, it's always going to happen. Now with games getting updates every 2 minutes and bug fixes every 5 seconds, Vanguard has got no chance with guns, because every man and his dog will just complain, moan, and then it just gets interrupted. Takes the fun out of the games. The bottom line of it, really, is that there's too much meddling during the game's lifespan. Everybody loves Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2. Everybody loves Black Ops for what it was. People could use the UMP45 in Modern Warfare 2, the PP2000 or whatever it was, and then you could go and get the M4A1 with a grenade launcher attachment to it and use that, or noob tube as everybody used to call it, and one-man army. The quirks of that is what made the game so loved, so good, and we lose that now. We don't have that love for the games anymore, because the moment something doesn't feel right for us, or something doesn't feel right for somebody, they've got to come out and sort it, instead of just living with it and going, you know what, that's how they're balanced, live with it, that's the meta, go do it. Jesus Christ, look, a poor example, terrible example, but look at FIFA, the meta is pace. You know what I mean, and people just buy pace and skillful players, and that's it. Doesn't matter whether you're tall, strong and powerful. No. As long as you're quick and you're skillful, you'll score everything. And it's the same with the way COD should go about their games. They need to stop meddling and just accept that some guns are just better than others. And that's the way it is. A small pet peeve of mine about the game. Whenever a game finishes on multiplayer, play of the game. Now for me, play of the game is a really, really cool concept. Obviously, instead of final kill, it's play of the game in objective-based game modes, which is so cool to think about. Like, you can play for it. You can go on a 6, 7, 8 kill rampage where you're spinning round corners, throwing knife, grenades, or just straight up one-shotting people with your sniper. But the game doesn't recognise that as play of the game. Play of the game will be somebody who's sat on the objective, gets 2 kills, and that's it. Now, for me, the idea is so good. The animation behind play of the game, the little animations of like voting for people and the play of the game stuff. I can't praise them enough for that. It was a new concept. It's actually really cool, but the way the play of the game is executed and is chosen is so poor. It's so disappointing. It's so frustrating when you believe that you've got play of the game. You look at what's just been awarded play of the game and you go, what? You know what I mean? It is just one of them where it just perplexes me. It's such a small pet peeve, something that on the grand scheme of things isn't really that big, but it does happen and it is just quite annoying, but it is one of them really small things. Right, so moving on from the guns, even though it's one of the main problems in the game, it actually feeds into another problem within the game, which is personality. The game feels like it has no personality at all, and that's the problem. Like I've alluded to before, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, those games had something about them had a personality, and that's the frustrating thing about Vanguard and CODs nowadays anyway. The Modern Warfare reboot nailed it, I will say. It was perfect. I played that like, you're talking like I put, for me, 50, 60 hours into it. It was amazing. And I know that's not a lot to some, but it's a lot for me. And I could not get off the game. But Vanguard does not feel like it has that retention value, does not have that personality. Vanguard feels like these two games smushed and squished together and then just given to us as a replacement for them, and that's how it feels, and that's why I think it has performed so poorly. It's tidied up on the edges of this game. This game was just poor, but the time period, squish them together, this is the game we've been given. For me, that's how it feels. I don't know if that's anybody of you, let me know, but that's how I feel personally about the game and the way it was made. As I alluded to, Modern Warfare was the perfect reboot. It really was. But COVID killed Cold War, and this was meant to be the revival. That just hasn't panned out the way they needed to, really, have they? And that's the problem. Now, this is something that hasn't been spoke about much because people are avoiding it. I just want to gloss over it real quick. The zombies. Now, what is there to say about Vanguard zombies? Ultimately, nothing. And that's the truth. Absolutely nothing. There is not much to say about this game, but game mode at all. Except for that, it's awful. It's not innovative. It's not reliable. It's not the formula we know and love. It's just sad to see such a beloved, reliable, familiar formula executed so poorly. Something that draws in fans because they love zombies. People don't love multiplayer, they don't love the campaign, they don't want to play anything else. Just love zombies. Something that draws in so many fans. It's executed so poorly. So wasteful. I don't know what they were thinking. What were you thinking? Tell me. I'd love to know. I want to know. I want to find out what were you thinking when you went, you know what? Sat in that boardroom and went, got a new idea for zombies. This is what we're going to do. And this is what you come out with. And you approved it? You screen tested it? You've got to have screen tested it and game tested it. And you approved it? It's disappointing. And there's not much else I want to say about it, to be honest, because I'm an avid zombies lover. I play all kinds of zombies. I love the originals, the new ones. One of my favourite maps is Shadows of Evil, and it's amazing. And then my other favourite map, Dead Ops Arcade. I swing both ways in zombies. They are two of the most innovative, beautiful game modes and beautiful maps you will ever play. But this was terrible. It was awful and should go in the bin very, very, very quickly. For me, it should never return and they should hang their heads in shame. But I've spoken about this for too long now and I said I was glossing over it, so let's move on. Right, not gonna lie to you, the next point is the campaign. Not touched it. I would like you to tell me what the campaign is like. I've had to go online, I'll bring it up here. I went on Reddit to talk about the campaign. This is their opinion. I can't really give you my view on it. I didn't want to play it, I didn't acknowledge it really. I usually play the campaign. Modern Warfare Reboot, played the campaign. Absolutely loved it, going dark and everything like that. Lived for it, but I just could not get into this one. And it was something I didn't want to do. And that's a shame. So, if you could let me know down in the comments or something like that, just tell me, how was the campaign? If you played the campaign of Vanguard, how was it? What were the aspects of it that drew you to finish it, if you finished it? What were the aspects that drew you to not finish it, if you played it once and didn't finish it? Because for me, it weren't captivating enough. There's something missing from this game, and I think it's just plain and simple developer love. It was a bit of a cash grab, a push for Warzone to help Warzone out. It's becoming a dying breed. For that, we need to change up the formula. So, as I said at the start of this video, it's not the worst COD. We know that. We 100% know it's not the best COD either. The one thing that we are though is bored. We're bored of the same cash grab CODs for the development of Warzone. Because let's be honest, that's all they are. We want CODs that are self-sufficient and self-standing. None of this futuristic rubbish, none of this World War I rubbish or World War II rubbish. Don't want that. Modern Warfare, tried, tested, everybody loves it. We just are bored. It's not the worst COD. So, that is it from me. So please, put in the comments your opinions of Vanguard. Everything that I've said, what you like, what you didn't like, what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with. I'd love to know your comments and opinions on Vanguard and on this video. So if you could, and if you liked it, please give it a like. And that's it from me. So, in a bit.